Death Valley, a place of extreme temperatures, barren landscapes, and according to some, the final resting place of an ancient race of red-haired giants that once roamed the American Southwest. In 1931, a mining engineer named F.B.A. Doc Crandall was exploring a remote section of Death Valley when he made a discovery that would haunt him for the rest of his life. In a cave high up on a cliff face, Crandall claimed to have found the mummified remains of several individuals, each measuring between 8 and 9 feet tall. According to Crandall's journal, which wasn't published until after his death in 1959, the giants had reddish hair and were adorned with primitive jewelry made of unknown materials. But what happened to these remarkable specimens? This is where our story takes its first strange turn. Crandall reported his find to authorities, and within days, men identifying themselves as Smithsonian representatives arrived and removed the remains. They thanked Crandall for his discovery, assured him it would be studied and displayed, and then nothing. No paper was published, no exhibition mounted, and when Crandall followed up months later, the Smithsonian denied any knowledge of the discovery. Now, if this were an isolated incident, we might dismiss it as the tall tale of a desert-addled prospector. But Crandall's account is just one of dozens of similar stories from across the American Southwest. In 1911, guano miners working in the Lovelock Cave in Nevada discovered over 60 mummies, some measuring over 8 feet tall. Local newspapers reported the discovery, and photographs were allegedly taken. But the ultimate fate of these remains is unknown. In 1947, a Death Valley prospector named Howard E. Hill told the San Diego Union that he had discovered the remains of giants averaging 9 feet tall in the Panamint Mountains on the edge of Death Valley. Hill described an advanced civilization with hieroglyphic-like writing and sophisticated technology. Like the others, these remains seemingly vanished into thin air. So what's going on here? Are these just desert legends? Or is there something more to these stories? The Paiute tribe, native to the Death Valley region, has oral traditions that speak of a race of red-haired cannibalistic giants called the Saite-Ka. According to their legends, these giants were the original inhabitants of the region before the Paiute arrived. After years of conflict, the Paiute finally trapped the last of the Saite-Ka in a cave and filled the entrance with brush, burning them alive. Interestingly, when the Lovelock Cave was excavated in the early 20th century, archaeologists found evidence of a massive fire at the entrance, lending some credibility to the Paiute legend. But if these giants existed, why isn't there more concrete evidence? This is where we enter conspiracy territory. Some researchers claim that the Smithsonian Institution has been actively suppressing evidence of giant skeletons since the late 1800s. They point to newspaper articles from the 19th century that frequently reported the discovery of giant human remains across America, only for those remains to disappear after being sent to the Smithsonian. The Smithsonian, for its part, categorically denies these allegations. They maintain that no such specimens have ever been in their collection, and suggest that the newspaper reports were either hoaxes or misidentifications of mastodon bones, which were commonly found during that era. In 2015, an anonymous source claiming to be a former Smithsonian employee came forward with a startling allegation. According to this whistleblower, there's a vast underground storage facility beneath the Smithsonian where thousands of giant skeletons are kept hidden from public view. The source claimed that orders to conceal these remains came directly from the highest levels of government. Why would the government want to hide evidence of giants? According to proponents of this theory, the existence of giants would contradict the established narrative of human evolution and potentially validate certain religious texts that mention giants, like the Bible's description of the Nephilim. Others suggest a more mundane explanation, that acknowledging the existence of a previous advanced civilization in North America would undermine the doctrine of manifest destiny that justified European settlement of the continent. But let's step back from conspiracy theories and look at the scientific evidence. While there are certainly humans with gigantism who can reach heights of over 8 feet, there's no credible scientific evidence for an entire race of giants. Most anthropologists suggest that the giant legends may have originated from the discovery of megafauna bones, like those of mammoths or giant ground sloths, which early settlers might have mistaken for human remains. As for the red hair often mentioned in these accounts, mummified bodies can sometimes develop reddish hair due to chemical changes after death, regardless of their original hair color. That said, there are some genuinely puzzling archaeological finds from Death Valley that deserve attention. In the 1920s, an expedition led by Dr. F. Bruce Russell discovered a complex tunnel system beneath Death Valley. Inside, they claimed to find mummies over 8 feet tall, strange artifacts, and hieroglyphic-like symbols on the walls. Russell planned to return with a documentary crew, but died under mysterious circumstances before this could happen. In 1931, a physician named F.C. Calvert was hiking in the Black Mountains near Death Valley when he discovered a series of caves containing artifacts he couldn't identify. Among his finds were leather-bound tablets covered in an unknown language and small statues depicting humans with elongated heads. Calvert's collection disappeared after his death in 1944. In 1940, 4 prospectors working in Death Valley claimed to have discovered a cave containing the skeletons of what they described as a race of men 8 to 9 feet in height. They reported their find to authorities but were told to leave the area immediately, as it was now restricted government land. When they returned weeks later, the cave entrance had been dynamited closed. These stories share common elements: unusual discoveries, initial reports, and then silence. The evidence disappears, witnesses recant or die unexpectedly, and the sites become inaccessible. So, what are we to make of the giants of Death Valley? Are they merely legends born from misidentified bones and desert hallucinations? Or is there something more substantial to these persistent stories? The truth is, we may never know. Death Valley is a vast, inhospitable place with countless unexplored caves and canyons. If evidence of giants does exist, it could remain hidden for centuries more. What we do know is that the human story in North America is far more complex than we once thought. Recent archaeological discoveries have pushed back the date of human habitation on this continent by thousands of years. Perhaps there are still chapters of our prehistory waiting to be discovered in the sun-baked mountains of Death Valley. If you had fun or learned anything, subscribe, share, like, comment. I know I'm a broken record, but that stuff really helps the channel.